doing out on the sidewalks, you might ask? Well, there's 4 here in the immediate area if you count the one behind the glass storefront window right there. And we're probably going to run into another couple of rooster sculptures before our time is up together today, okay? You know, if you really think about it, most major American cities either have an official or an unofficial animal sponsor that's known about their respective cities. I think in New York City it would be all about those bronze bulls, at least in lower Manhattan, right? Chicago used to have cows. Don't know what happened to the cows in Chicago. Louisville, Kentucky has horses for obvious reasons, the derbies, the horse races. Seattle now has these cartoonish-like pigs. The list goes on and on and on. Here in Miami for the last 25 years plus, it's been all about these roosters, okay? And a lot of people like to romantically theorize and say, oh, that must be the culture of cockfighting among the rural countryside peasants of Cuba. It has nothing to do with that, okay? Now, it was a Cuban artist that came up with these all the way back in 1983 when he made his first shabby paper mache model of it. These are a much nicer, neater, sturdier vinyl and fiberglass. They weigh about 70 pounds each. There's about 100 of these roosters here in Miami. Now, they're not all along this corridor, okay? And some of them are harder to find because they're in the lobbies of office buildings and such. Local businesses, they acquire them, they paint them, you know, they commission a local artist to paint them any motif they want, like the Cuban American one I just pointed out. And I'll tell you what, folks, and this is a heads up to all of you, all that Cuban artist was referencing when he created the rooster sculpture as the unofficial mascot of Miami is basically a joke. The joke is just the sheer amount of feral or wild roosters you can find in all of Miami's urban core neighborhoods. It's actually been problematic for decades, long predating Cubans arriving to the area over 60 years ago, okay? And there's not one historian in the state of Florida that can satisfactorily explain to me why the southern tip of our state is absolutely overwhelmed with roosters. Folks, has anybody been to Key West? Nobody's been to Key West. Well, Key West is our southernmost city here in the United States, southernmost city in Florida, obviously. It's a 150-mile drive down that way. That city is overwhelmed with roosters, except their municipal government, City of Key West, they actually protect them. Here in Miami, they are reviled and vilified for the nasty vermin that they are, okay? I don't like them, okay? Guys, they cockle-doodle-doo at 3:30 in the morning. They're dirty, they're nasty. I'm gonna give you a heads up right now. We will be interacting with roosters today at one point. And this isn't a petting zoo, okay? Is ventana. Whenever you add an ita or an ito to the end of any Spanish noun, it becomes diminutive or small. I think it's perhaps very idiosyncratic in Cuban and Cuban American culture to make everything cutesy, wootsy, and tiny. So, welcome to your little window experience. Okay. By the way, conservative estimates will indicate that there's at least 2,500 of these here in Miami-Dade County alone, our greater Miami area. Okay. Now, if you're staying in Miami Beach, a little bit harder to find because it's all a bunch of hotels clustered up together. Okay, but they're there too. I promise you. All right. Well. Anyway, the rule of thumb is whenever you're here, especially on the Miami mainland here where you're standing right now, in the city of Miami proper, specifically where we're at here now, and you're on a city sidewalk and you pass by an open window, well, this is the pandemic edition of an open window, but you understand, okay? With an Italian pump espresso machine behind it, some of you can see it from this angle. Really, you can see it right there, right through the adjacent window, right through the plexiglass. You know that they're serving up a curiously strong concoction that I'm going to share with you right here, right now. Our friends from Turkey, they know about strong coffee, okay? They know about their type of coffee. Now this, I'm not going to say is similar, but it's sort of in the same vein and spirit of it, okay?
Evet, yüzünü görmek istiyorum. Bu sert kahveyi. Nasıl?
Oldukça şekerli bu arada, yani öyle biraz dediği gibi ucundan şeker damlatmamış, bildiğin bal gibi. Arkada normal espresso'nun acılığını hissediyorsun. Sen bundan kilo öyle içer.
You're going to get a sweet blast, but and then you're going to keep sipping. You're going to get equal parts sweet, equal parts bitter. By the way, this is only pre-sweetened by the barista when you ask for it straight like this. Right or wrong way to pronouncing the name of this place, however you pronounce it. I'll tell you, it's been a signature spot here on this street corner for nearly half a century now, okay? I'm gonna mask up now, okay? And I'd like you to watch your step on the way in, okay? Because there is a step up walking in. Follow me if you want.
Does anyone have an extra minute?
How you guys doing? Sorry.
Just because we're a little congested, but that's okay. We're gonna roll the punches here. All right, folks. Welcome to El Pub, okay? And you turn around and take a load of at this place. Look at the layout of a traditional Cuban restaurant in Florida. This half of the Cuban restaurant is known as La Cafeteria. Same word as cafeteria in English. In fact, it's spelled exactly the same way in Spanish, cafeteria. But it's not a cafeteria the way we would think about it in our North American minds, okay? It's a diner. Take a look at the L-shaped diner counter. The vintage swiveling diner stools right here in front of you. Oh, by the way, I didn't give you this disclaimer at the beginning. We are only visiting mom and pop businesses today. That is our strict policy with Miami Culinary Tours. They're family-owned businesses, okay? And this family, they took advantage of the lockdowns, okay? This last summer. And they used to have booths here along this wall, but they tore the booths out and they put these high top tables here, and that's okay. But I'll tell you what, with zero exceptions at a traditional Cuban restaurant like El Pub, there will always be a very prominent Cuban sandwich station right behind the diner counter, almost with zero exceptions, okay? But we're not going to talk about Cuban sandwiches at this stop, okay? That's going to be a little bit later on. We're going to do something else right now. So I'll tell you what, folks. Would you like to have a cafeteria experience with me? So let's go ahead. I'll tell you what. Some of us can go ahead and take a seat here at the diner counter. Some of us can go ahead and take a seat at these high top tables wherever you feel comfortable, okay? And we're going to have something to just start us out and whet our appetites. But I will hydrate you right now, okay? So wherever you guys feel comfortable.
Sure.
Folks, picadillo is derived from the Spanish verb picar, which is to mince or to cut or to chop or to grind. It's just ground beef, okay? But it contains the holy trinity of Creole Cuban cuisine, and what would that be? Onions, garlic, bell peppers. Never chili peppers. If you thought you were coming to Miami to have all that spicy hot Cuban food, you're going to be sorely disappointed. There's nothing spicy hot about Cuban food whatsoever. In fact, Cuban food is essentially European fare with some Creole touches. I will define and delineate what Creole means insofar as Cuban cuisine later on during our tour, okay? And yes, picadillo, other than that sofrito, that base seasoning, that holy trinity I'm telling you about, okay? You're gonna get the smokiness of cumin or comino, however you'd like to pronounce it, okay? There may be one or two Spanish manzanilla olives stuffed with Spanish red pimento, okay, for some vinegar tartness, not with the spinach ones, don't worry. Really, with zero exceptions, a Cuban picadillo is a tomato-based dish. But it really depends on family recipe to family recipe, restaurant to restaurant, as to how much tomato sauce there is. There's not too much tomato sauce included in this picadillo, okay? But I promise you, there is a sweet, soft touch of tomato sauce. This is enveloped in a wheat flour dough. And think about it, my friends. Every culture on earth has some type of food item that stuffs ingredients and fully envelops them inside of some sort of dough. The Italians, they have calzones. The Polish have pierogi. Indians of the subcontinent have samosa. The list goes on and on and on. Here in the Spanish-speaking Americas, we're having some empanadas, okay? Okay? No meat is going to be right over there. Do it unapologetically and fearlessly now. I want you to smell that sofrito, that holy trinity of Creole Cuban cuisine. I want you to smell the smokiness of cumin.
Nasıl?
I want you to probably see that you do have a Spanish manzanilla olive stuff with Spanish red pimento. I want you to taste the Cuban picadillo.
Dışı şey gibi. Çiğ börek diyeceğim ama ondan daha kalın bir hamur. Ama içindeki et çok güzel ve şey adamın anlattığı gibi acı yapılmamış. Hafif bir tatlılık var. Ve tabii ki şöyle göstereyim. Bayağı da bol bir içerik var.
Neydi bunun adı? Bunun adı ne?
Picadillo.
This would be the only acceptable hot sauce that you would find in a Cuban restaurant in South Florida. In fact, it's also the least spicy of all the hot sauces on earth. It is merely cayenne pepper on a vinegar base. Please try it. Even if you are averse to hot sauces,
Üstüne dökmeyin.
humor me and add some
Şeyini almak istedim. Tabaka sos gibi. Ekşi acı arası. Ve bence ihtiyacı vardı. Çünkü biraz kuruydu. Şimdi bu sosla anlamlaştı.
How would you like to spread yourselves out? You can have any one of these areas right here. These couches are beautiful, okay? But so is that corner up there, okay? Wherever you feel most comfortable, right here against this area right here. Absolutely great. It seems like everybody in Miami knows what a Cuba Libre is. And if you don't know, that's okay. That's rum, Coca-Cola, and a twist of lime. And it seems like everybody in America knows what a daiquiri is, except most of you all pronounce it daiquiri. That is their cigars every bit as seriously as wine connoisseurs take their wines, okay? And I'm here to proudly proclaim on the Baguio family's behalf, these are Cuban cigars. They're most certainly Cuban. Okay, hold on a second. We've had very strict economic sanctions levied by our federal government on Cuba for nearly 60 years now. In fact, some of the strictest economic sanctions levied on any single nation on earth by our U.S. federal government. And I'm including Iran and North Korea on that list. There's some bad blood between our two governments, okay? It's still illegal to import manufactured goods, including tobacco goods, from the communist nation into the United States. There is nothing illegal, however, about acquiring Cuban tobacco seeds in a third country and planting those seeds in similar or like enough soil and climate conditions. I know, I see the grins on your faces. Folks, what a loophole that is, okay? But, let's say, folks, the Bayo family, they own plantations overseas everywhere where that's possible. They own a small plantation in the Dominican Republic, another one in Honduras, but really, the bulk of their operation as of the last 5 years is in Nicaragua. They actually employ over 300 people in Nicaragua to this day, okay? That's where they employ centuries-old Cuban techniques in tobacco cultivation. Centuries-old Cuban techniques, again, in tobacco curing, which is a very important part of the process. They ship it over here to Miami in bales, and here it is rolled by a master Cuban cigar roller. I'm gonna call that Cuban. U.S. license, Cuban cigar. And probably with that crystal leaf award, probably among the best that you can get in the U.S. Okay? I'm gonna mask up now. I'd like you to come in so we can see the Bayo family's little. A fine pairing would be a fine port wine or an excellent cognac Well, if you like bourbon, you could do bourbon as well. Okay. Or a nice dark aged Cuban rum if you can get your hands on it. Okay. Now you can go non-alcoholic and you can pair a fine cigar with the sweet Southern style iced tea, or that curiously strong concoction that we just shared at the Ventanita, right? But it should be really an experience that is not abused. It should be reserved for a special occasion, okay? And it is a beautiful oral experience, okay? It's just taste the savory explosion in your mouth, okay? Again, something for a very fine occasion. Don't abuse it. Yes, we always have a couple shoppers in our group. I'm not going to go ahead and talk any more over that. I might point out a couple of curiosities here. You guys are welcome to here because, yes, because they have like all these boxes stacked up. They ship out of this location every day to cigar lounges and cigar shops throughout the eastern seaboard of the U.S. and really all the way up to French Canada or Quebec. In fact, in Montreal specifically, they can't get enough of the Bayo family's product. And remember, in Canada, they do get cigars actually from Cuba, okay? So this is something good happening here. Folks, when you look at the factory section there, I know it's stacked sky high with boxes, but do you see right next to Mrs. Bayo there, right behind her now, there's all those cellophane boxes and bags, that black cellophane on it, looks like garbage bags. Folks, that's tens of thousands of dollars worth of cured tobacco from their Central American plantation. That Cuban seed tobacco I was telling you about outside, okay? And I'll tell you what, you see the curing process right here. It's actually hung up right here, right against this window. That's the way they're usually hung from. Of course, they're usually hung from the ceilings of thatched huts at the source, which would be the tobacco plantation, in this case, Nicaragua, okay? And then you see on the shelves, they're moving a lot of things around. And you see them here in the showroom as well, all the different sized and shaped and colored cedar boxes. The cedar boxes are the typical encasement for fine handmade cigars, okay? Now, not all of them are encased in cedar, okay? Some of them are actually just bundled up and wrapped in cellophane. Some of them have rings, some of them do not. I'll tell you about the rings in a couple minutes. And that's the long and short of the operation here. Here is the master Cuban cigar roller. And yes, there's a ranking system among cigar rollers. When I call somebody a master, that indicates that they've been rolling at least for 20 years. This gentleman has been rolling in excess of 24, okay? And yes, it is a skill set that's passed down usually from family member to family member, generation to generation. I invite you to move up to the table and take a look. I'm moving away. But you all can, you're all masked. So you can stand pretty close to them.
Nasıl?
That is a very flowery
Patates kroket peynirli.
cheese rolled in
O kadar basit yani.
O kadar da lezzetli.
Güzel mi?
Her zaman sevdiğim şey.
Güzel. Bakın milletin
Folks, I
surat
cannot
fabrikası.
emphasize and highlight this enough. We eat at a different time schedule than the rest of you all do where you're from. I promise you.
Şaşırmış gibi.
If our lunchtime peak hours here in Miami are any indication as to when Miamians eat lunch, that's between lunch. Look at the differences first between international variation that you might know of the dominant and the Cuban dominant, okay? First of all, those dominant pieces are thicker. They're good for smacking. They're just shuffling right now. Each of them are going to get a hand of 10. You all hear me over there? I know it's loud. We've got a lot of stuff happening here. So each of them randomly got 10. There are more than 40 pieces in a domino tile set, okay? Those pieces they're not going to touch. They're going to put off to the side. Now they're going to start with one player laying down. They're going to select a player he just went with a double 7. Notice, my friends, this is also different. Cuban dominoes and Cuban dominoes alone, their high pieces go up to double 9s, which means that there are 7s, 8s, and 9s, unlike most other international variants. Now, folks, they have created a drain. They're going counterclockwise. If you see a player knocking, they pass. Now the next player has to get put a 3 or a 7. see, they have that now. They can't withhold a piece. They cannot withhold a piece. If they have now in this case a 2 or a 7, he got it. They must add to one end of the train, so to speak, or another, if they have a match. 5 has been matched. 6 has been matched. It's 7 or 7. He's passed. No 7 there. He went ahead and did 7. It's 3. He's passed. He matched the 3. It's 5 or 7. The next player. We know who doesn't have 5 or 7. Uh-oh. Now he might have an opening. It's going to be 1 or 7. Folks, the player to end with 0 domino tiles wins. Or the one with the viewers. He's passed. It's 4 and 5.
Ahora viene una cosa,
It's 0 and 5. Now my yeah, they get all fancy. If you look at the wall right there, the photographs, they drizzle it in fudge, they drizzle it in Nutella. They even stuff one. What's that stuff with? That one right there? The one that's stuffed? What's that stuff with? What is that?
Churro.
Tamam.
Oh, it is.
Dondurma bekleyecek miyiz yoksa direkt yiyelim mi?
Dondurmayla bu daha güzel olur ya.
Okay, it is, that's true.
Ama dondurmacı burası değil ki.
Dulce de leche, which is a South American milk
Bence sıcak sıcak ye.
Öyle mi diyorsun?
Sıcak sıcak ye.
All right. Landmark here in Little Havana. It's also the oldest. You might look around and say, well, Ralph, you're right. It's just a fruit stand. Well, it's been just a fruit stand for 104 years. That's ancient history by our Miami historical standards. And think about it, 104 years, this was a dusty, swampy horse and buggy trail leading up from the eastern edge of the Florida Everglades, which, by the way, that eastern edge of the great swamp of America used to come up to only 2.5 miles west of here. Today, it's 23 miles down that way. Well, urban and suburban sprawl has happened considerably over the last century. Hello,
Afrika'dayken bana bunlardan
You guys know about
satmışlardı.
urban sprawl. It's not
1
atypical
dolara
of any other major U.S. city.
bundan birazcık daha az.
104 years ago, this was the
Kırmızı
southern
muz.
terminus distribution
Bu daha da
point of the
kırmızı oluyor bu
Indian
arada.
River Citrus Fruit Company. Indian River Citrus Fruit, that's the largest citrus fruit company in the world back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And really all they would sell out of the southernmost Floridian location at the beginning was what the local grove zone here gave citrus-wise, which was just oranges, limes, and grapefruit. That's it. Okay. And well, Indian River Citrus growers were here 47, 48 years, for the last 57 years. The Hernandez family from the extreme western province of Norte Rio, Cuba. They set up shop here. Flavors that are locally sourced make it Cuban. Also, they have a time capsule flavor. I like to call it a time capsule flavor, as it is really the only known ice cream flavor developed in Cuba in the 1800s. It's called mantecado. You don't have to remember mantecado, just call it Cuban vanilla. It's an egg-based vanilla with cinnamon and nutmeg notes. It's almost eggnog-like. It's lovely, okay? But we're gonna have something else. We're gonna have the Abuela Maria, okay? This is their #1 best-selling ice cream. By the way,
Söyle bakalım.
Evet. Nasıldı Emre bugün Little Havana? Memnun kaldın mı turdan?
Bence beklentimizin tamamını karşıladı diye düşünüyorum. Her iki anlamda da güzeldi. Hem biraz tarih öğrendik. Miami'nin gelişimini, işte Küba'dan buraya kaçan insanlar niye, neden, ne kadar yerleştiler gibi konuları öğrendik. Hem de güzel, lezzetli şeyler denedik. Biraz yürüyüş, biraz yemek, biraz tarih. Güzel bir karışım oldu.
En çok hangi yemeği beğendin? Bana onu söyle.
O ilk yediğimiz bence en güzeliydi. Şimdi ismini telaffuz edemeyeceğim ama sonra yazarım.
Şey olan, şu poğaça
Çiğ böreğe
gibi olan,
benzeyen.
çiğ börek gibi olan mı? Bayağı malzemesini bol kullanmışlardı ya. Ben
Evet, içeriydi.
dondurmayı çok beğendim. Bayağı keyifliydi yani dondurma.